So last session we talked about lesson 1, components of matter. We know what is okay. So if we have say for example a tumbler or a cell phone. Okay. If we have a cell phone, okay, ano no, a cell phone. All right. So if we have a cell phone, we know that your cell phone is made up of what? Gamaya. Okay. It's made up of okay. It's made up of a molecule. Then a molecule is made up of an atom. Okay. So yes, very good. Okay. And according to Mendeleev, okay, Dmitry Mendeleev is the one also who arranged the periodic table. He says that if you cut your cell phone into half and then after na ikat na pod and then you cut again and then you cut again and then cut and cut and cut, then you will end up to a thing that is very small that you cannot divide it or that you cannot cut it anymore, and that is what we called sa tawag ato. Okay, so an atom. So an atom is very tiny and it is indivisible. We cannot divide it anymore because it's very small. Okay, it's very tiny. So an atom made up your cell phone. So if we have chair, tumbler, everything is made up of a molecule and then an atom. Okay. Then, however, pagka baguhay na, after Mendeleev, how many years? Another scientist or group of scientists, they have discovered that an atom, okay, is it the smallest thing in the universe? Is an atom the smallest thing in the universe?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, so that is from Dmitry Mendeleev. However, pagkabaguhay na, remember that your atom is made up of, what is an atom made up of? If we have an atom, okay, we have a nucleus, and it's okay. All right, so an atom is made up of, okay, ano na siya? Unsa to made up of? Ay, thank you.
Proton, ma'am.
Made
Electron.
up of
Neutron.
one, ma'am.
Protons, neutrons, protons, and then you have neutrons. Okay, so it's made up of protons and neutrons, and what else? We have
Electron, ma'am.
okay electrons, and then we have electrons. All right. So is an atom is the smallest thing in the universe?
No, ma'am.
Yes,
No. Remember, atom is still made up of electrons, protons, and neutrons because it's not the smallest thing. Because maybe atom is just the smallest unit of any element in the periodic table. However, it's not the smallest thing in the universe. It's not the smallest unit of matter. We still have the proton. Now, we still have the electrons. Your electron is the first discovered elementary particle. We have standard elementary particles. Okay. Therefore, so your electron is the first discovered particle. So which means that versus an atom and then a particle is is smaller, and it's the smallest thing. So we have that one. So atom is not the smallest thing, but we have a particle. If we are going to look in the elementary particles, standard models, it still looks like periodic table. Okay. However, bago ni siya kaysa periodic table. Dugay naman kayo ng periodic table. Alright. So as we can see here, we have the particles. We have like, electron, we have quarks, we have up quark, down quark, charm, strange, we have top, bottom, nice kayo lang pangalan, no? Then we have the Higgs. Higgs is the kanang pinaka bago sa tanan. Okay, and then we have electron. For electron, we have mu1. Then we have also tau. Then we have also electron neutrino. Neutrino is also very small, smallest and light. Even neutrino is the smallest and lightest particle. Okay, so we have mu1 neutrino and then tau neutrino. Then we also have the bosons, the Higgs boson, the very famous one, and the Z boson. We also have photon. Photon is, we are familiar with this when we go to physics. Actually sila man tanan na sa physics. However, this one is kung basic physics, you can encounter photon because photon is a quanta of light that carries electromagnetic force. So this one, so photon, then gluon, then we also have the Z boson, and the bosons are force carriers. So they are called force carriers. So carry silang mga energy. Okay. So we have that one again. So my point here is that atom is not the smallest thing, but the particles. Now, as we can see here, asa to? As we can see here, protons and neutrons, is it a standard or elementary particles? Are they elementary particles? Protons and neutrons. Elementary particles sila? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Asa man dapita? Asa sila makita
Yes,
sa
ma'am.
pangita sa diri?
Kanang color green, ma'am.
Color green? Asa may P dire?
Kanang orange.
Asam nga orange? Na dire?
ma'am. Sa may lahan.
Unsa ti mailahan? Dapat makita
Yes,
po
ma'am.
tag P, makita tag P di ari ang electron na o na E.
Ay, wala man.
Oh.
I mean, ma'am ba po ang elementary, ito, particle.
Elementary particle. Maybe maybe imong memorize son. Ilara po na ko sila just like periodic table. So gikuan na lang po namo siya, gi-accept na nana day siya. Part siya sa periodic table. Element siya. Then if elementary particle, pinakagagmay na kayo, so we have electron, then neutrino, then we have quarks. Quark is familiar na po na siya. Then we also have bosons. Okay, so meron siyang dali na siya, ma-memorize na mo na siya. We have the quarks, neutrino, then tulo din sila kabuok, then the bosons. Okay, so P is not a standard particle because according to them, your proton, okay, say proton, okay, dako na lang na ha. Proton is actually made up of two up quarks. Okay. Two up quarks. So up. And then we also have one down quark. Like, so that is your proton. So proton so inside proton still made up of quarks. Now quarks is elementary particle. And we have up quark and then we have down quark. So up quark and down quarks made up your proton. And what about your neutron? Is it an elementary particle?
Dili, ma'am.
Oh no, not okay. It's not. It's still not an elementary particle because proton ni siya, no. Because your neutron still made up of the opposite. All right, one up quark and two down quarks. D. All right. So opposite siya. So that is your neutron. That's why when we go back to katong for lesson 1, for with all these atomic particles, subatomic particles, the lightest and the smallest is what? Of the three, kinsa ang pinakabugat o pinakagaan, pinakagamay? We have
Electron, ma'am.
okay, because that is electron, because electron is already na gid siya, elementary particle na fundamental, so isa ra jud siya, but wala siya made up of, not made up of. Okay, unlike the protons and neutrons. Now, when you go back to lesson 1, you can see there that there are two subatomic particles who has the almost the same size and the same mass. So, possible na silang duha ni. It's the proton and the neutron because we have that one. We have two, they're made up of up two quarks which are up and down. Okay, so we have that one, the elementary particles. So particle is smaller than your atom. Then let's go. Okay. So, all right. Now also we have wait Bohr, Niels Bohr. Niels no. Neil Bohr. Neil Bohr. And Niels lagi. Okay, we have Niels. Neil. Okay, we have this scientist, Niels Bohr. So he has the experiment, or he has that model of an atom, specifically the hydrogen atom. Okay. Ay, asa man na ni? Itsa. Okay, wala ko nakita dali. All right, but he has that model of hydrogen atom, which has a structure like this one. So it has, remember that the atom is, we have the nucleus, you have the protons here, and then the neutrons, we have protons here, and then we have electrons. Okay. Now, Bohr was confused that why if the nucleus is made up of protons and neutrons, and then the electrons, it resides on the electron cloud. Okay, resides around the nucleus. Why is it daw nga di na lang sila mag-attract. Di na lang sila mag-attract here. Di na sila mag-collide ba? Di na lang sila mag-usa, forming that one from two, na sila, sumaduol na silang duha. So mahimo na siyang bigana. Okay, nga di man sila mag-isa. Okay, so he has a problem. He was confused with that. Now, so yung gipangitag answer, and then it was found out that the energy here in the in the this cloud, no, kaning circle, we call this orbitals. Now the energy level here are quantized. Okay, if we have another that one, we have another. Okay, so meaning quantized, meaning each energy level. Okay, this one, energy level 1, energy level 2, energy level 3, it has discrete or fixed. It has fixed energy. That's why if we have an electron here and then it wants to go down here, so the energy must be emitted, and then, or if from first level to second level, so energy must be absorbed. Okay. So he has that confusion. Now, if you go to physics, or pwede man diri, but di na nato kaon. So, mao na siya. And then, is so, we have this model, and this model, okay, so this one is what we called first energy level, or which is n is equal to 1, or first shell. Then here n is equal to 2 and n is equal to 3. Now when you go up patrod, n is equal to 4. Okay. So this sila magduol, no, because energy is quantized. Okay. Na siya, right, n is equal to 4. So that is what we called energy level. So first level is energy level 1, energy level 2, energy level 3, and energy level 4. Now, energy level 1, energy levels, we call that shells also. First energy level is what we call shell K. This is K, L, M, and N. So energy level 1 is known as shell K, shell N. When N is equal to 1, that is shell K. Then when N is equal to 2, that is shell L. 3, that is M. N is equal to 4, that is N. Then also we have these subshells. Okay. Right. We have that subshells. Now, shell K has subshell S, and shell M has subshell SP, S and P, and shell M has subshell S, P, and D. And then we have N, which is S, P, D, F. Familiar?
Sa periodic table, ma'am. Okay.
Kenny?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this one is familiar. So we have that one. So if it is shell K, it has how many subshells? Pinakabukyang subshell.
One, ma'am.
One,
Isa
which
na, ma'am.
is subshell S. Okay. Then what about
Ma'am.
shell L, or second shell,
2,
which are S and P?
S,
Now, third shell.
4, ma'am. I mean 3.
Okay, which are?
S, P, and
Then
PND.
N is,
N has 4
okay,
subshells.
N has 4 subshells. Okay. Then we also have this, what we call orbitals. we have orbitals. So orbitals are regions of subshells where we can find electrons the most. Okay. So here orbitals is not an electron, but it's the position, it's the location of your electrons. Where can we find our electrons most? Okay, di ba? So to. Okay. So these we have electrons here. Electrons. Then here na lang, first shell. Look at the first shell. We have electron, 1, and then we have electron. We have 2. 2 ra na ma-occupy ana. 2 ka electrons. So, we cannot identify asa siya dapita. Diri ba dapita ang electron? Diri ba dapita? Or diri ba dapita? Or diri ba dapita? So, we have orbital. So, orbital is the position or the location wherein it's the region of your subshell or S, if we have that S, where we can find most electrons. So, asa na to should siya makita. So, we have that orbitals. Orbitals. Okay, and they have different shapes. So, we have, okay, you review na lang ha, the shapes. We have this lobe, the spherical. We have the spherical, which is S. Okay, which is also, hi. All right. Okay. S subshell has how many orbitals? How many orbitals in S subshell? We have this one. This is S. This is P, D, and then we have an F. Okay, so it's only one, which is S orbital. Okay, we have also which is S orbital. Orbital. What about the P subshell? How many orbitals does it have?
3, ma'am.
3, which is the px, py, and then the pz. So we have 3 orbitals. What about the D subshell? We have
5.
5 orbitals. Then we have also for F subshell, we have 7 orbitals. Okay. Now, according to our rule, each orbital can only occupy 2 electrons. Hence, in S orbital, how many electrons can it occupy? Pila? According to our rule. That is according to exclusion principle. Unsa? Pila? Pauli's exclusion principle. So it states that no 2 electrons in the same atom can have the same, Hans rule. That is Hans rule. Okay, that is Hans rule. Sige. The dili daw pwede ang isa ka, ang, no. Basta na to siya, rule, ana. Dapat duha ra jud ang ma-occupy kada orbital, duha ka electrons. Okay, in S orbital, how many electrons iyang madala?
2, ma'am.
Duha, ma'am.
Okay, so we have 2 electrons. So that's why in here, so when n is equal to 1 or K shell, how many electrons can it occupy? How many electrons can K shell occupy?
2, ma'am.
We have only 2 electrons. So, pang delete ng daghang king electrons dira. Okay. So only 2 ra ang mahatag nimo diri because we only have S subshell. So we have one electron and then we have another electron, which is 2. Okay. What about your p orbital? How many electrons can it occupy?
6, ma'am.
Okay,
Ma'am.
2 for this first orbital, which is px. Then 2 again, 2 for py, and then pz, we have 2. So a total of 6 electrons for p orbital. And then for d orbital,
10, ma'am.
10. We have 2 plus here 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay. What about f orbital?
14, ma'am.
Okay, we have here 10. You have 14 electrons. Okay, so each orbital can only occupy 2 or a maximum of 2 electrons. So in going back here, how many, okay, in L shell, how many electrons can it occupy?
4, ma'am.
L shell, kani
Ma'am.
6? Unsa na 6? Okay, unsa gali ang subshells sa L?
S and P.
S and P. S and P. How many electrons can S occupy?
Ay, 8 literal, ma'am.
Okay, so we have 2 ang S, then ang P can ay 6 electrons. So meaning, L shell can occupy up to 8 electrons. What about? Okay, butang na ko dali ha. 2 electrons, 8. Okay, what about third shell? Third energy level.
18.
Because we have SPD. Pilang S? 2 plus 6. D which 10. Okay. We have 18 electrons. Okay, what about N? N shell.
32.
18 plus 14. 32. Okay, we
32,
have
ma'am.
32 electrons. Okay, so na siya ha. Just remember. Anyways, pag makita bitaw ninyo ni, kani, kita mo ani, kaning 20,
ma'am.
ay, pag makita ninyo na maabot nag 1 hour, ina ko ha.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay, wala na record button ang Gmeet, so gamit ko og lahi na recorder. Okay, we have, saan na ta? Okay, that's Neil Bohr's model. Okay, so don't forget that one. So let's go back. So we have lesson 2, electron configuration and chemical periodicity. So in this lesson, we are going to tackle characteristics of many electron atoms, quantum mechanical model and periodic table, trends in atomic properties, and chemical reactivity. Okay, so familiar ang subtopics? Okay. All right, so we have the quantum numbers of electrons in an atom. So we have four quantum numbers of electrons. Okay, in an atom. So we have that one, the electron. So first is we have principal number, which is denoted or which has a symbol of n. Now this also refers to the sa to ganina energy level. Okay, energy level or shell. So we have that, which is positive integers, which is 1, 2, and 3. So when n is equal to 2, it means that kung n is equal to 2, unsa pasabot?
S orbital.
Unsa siya nga level? Okay, we have,
L orbital man.
unsa na siya sa
L orbital.
L orbit. Shell.
Sorry.
Okay. Orbitals, we have SPDF. Now, we can also have the subshells, which is also SPDF. Pero ang katong kaning N is equal to 1, energy level is equal to 2. Second energy level. Kaduhang tuyok ba to? Kay ang atom is, ano man siya, concentric circular. Then, we have also the angular momentum, which refers to L, or integers from 0 to n minus 1, or the orbital shape. So when the L values 0, 1, 2, 3, wait. So if we have L values, which is 0, if the angular momentum is 0, so it corresponds to S. So if 1, it corresponds to P. When L is equal to 2, it is D orbital. And it is when L is 3, it is F orbital. So, okay. Now, if we have n is equal to 1, what is the value of L?
0, ma'am.
Okay, because we have this formula. Okay, so L is equal to 0. And what orbital is that?
S, ma'am.
S orbital. How many electrons?
2, ma'am.
Ma'am.
All right. So, in what energy level?
S subshell.
Energy level?
So 1.
Okay, shell 1 or energy level 1. Okay. Now, we also have the magnetic, which is ML, integers from negative L to 0 to positive 1, which is the orbital orientation. So if we have ML, okay, if we have n is equal to 3, okay. So if we have n is equal to 3, L is equal to
2, ma'am.
2. Then if we have 2, so ML are negative 2, negative 1. We have this formula.
0
0,
plus
positive
1.
2. Okay, we have 5 orientations. We have 5 orientations. Because remember, we have 5 orientations, no? Remember that when L is equal to 2, that is orbital. Okay, remember, kani, L is equal to 2, orbital. Unsa siyang orbital?
Orbital L, ma'am.
Orbital?
S.
Ah, tara
D,
oh.
ma'am. D.
D. Orbital D. So how many orbitals? Okay. How many orbitals and d orbitals? Okay. Or how many? Yes, because how many orientations and lang, how many orientations in d orbital?
5, ma'am.
5. Okay, so asa to? Let's count. First orientation, hagoy. Second, third, fourth, fifth. So that is why we have 5 orientations. Now, depende na lang if asa siya dapit. If we have example, this is 0. This is -1, -2, +1, +2. So we have that one. Now, also here, if we have this one and is equal to 1, ML is MLR. We can have
Negative
ML is equal to 1.
0. That's negative 3, ma'am.
3. When n is equal to 1, L is equal to 0. Di ba ang sa ML? Okay, ang L may tanawon. So we have only 1. We have the 0. So that's why, unsa ni siya nga orbital, kanang n is equal to 1? Oh, L is equal to 0. L is equal to 0.
S, ma'am.
S orbital. Okay, so that's why how many orientations in S orbital?
0, ma'am.
0? Kaniding spherical shape.
1, ma'am.
1. Okay, that is 1, which is yahang sa magnetic lang that is represented by 0. Okay, so we have that one, no? Now we also have the spin. For the spin, we have, okay, all the three talks about the atomic orbital, while the fourth quantum number is, for the spin siya. Okay, so every particle's spin, unlike to the Higgs katong pinakadaplin siya, it's dili daw ni mo spin. But all ang tanan na spins, because spin is na siya pod, part yun pod na siya to, because without spinning there will be no frequency and no energy. So we have that one. If we have Higgs, this one is Higgs boson, which is very controversial siya because it does not spin. All the other particles spin. Okay. Hala kita, unsa naman ni? Oh God. Okay, the Higgs. Alright. So the spin is just easy. We have that one. If the spin is up, then we have positive one half, then negative if down. Alright. Okay. So we have, let's go. Now, quantum numbers and the exclusion principle. Each electron in any atom is described. Okay, each atom is described completely by set of 4 quantum numbers. So naadjud ni sila. Dapat ang electron in an atom has principal quantum number, angular momentum, then magnetic, and then we have the spin. So dapat naadjud ng 4. First 3, okay, describe the orbital, while the fourth describes electron spin. Okay. Now, we also have this principle that no 2 electrons in the same atom can have the same 4 quantum numbers. Okay, so dapat lahi-lahi siya. Because lahi-lahi na siya, that is according to Pauli's exclusion principle. So different elements in the periodic table has different quantum numbers also because we have different number of electrons. And an atomic orbital can hold, okay, maximum of 2 electrons and they must have opposing spin. Okay, so this is Pauli's exclusion principle that no 2 electrons, uh, no orbitals can occupy maximum of 2 electrons. Okay, and they must have opposing spin. So we have positive 1/2 and then we have negative 1/2. Ano siya? Ilang spin. Okay? And then, so, we also have the factors that affects atomic orbital energies. So, itong mga energy na to ba? Level 1, energy level 1, energy level 2, level 3, level 4, level 4. So, they are 1, 2, 3. 3 ra there. They are affected with nuclear charge and then by shielding. So nuclear charge is the attraction of your electrons to the nucleus, di ba? So ma-attract yun na imong electrons to the nucleus. Why? Because hello, why?
Unsa to, ma'am?
Why is it that electrons are attracted to the nucleus?
Nucleus, ma'am, or proton, ma'am?
To the nucleus siya ma-attract daw. Why?
Di ba, ma'am, ang nucleus kay kuan, ma'am, kanang equal ang
Ni-
iyang value, ma'am.
without charge,
Iyang charge, ma'am ba?
it's neutron.
Neutral, ma'am. Neutral iyang charge.
Neutron to. Now, the nucleus katong pinakatunga inside the cell, di ba? Sa cell theory, sa cell po ninyo sa biology, kaya we have the nucleus, pinaka-center. Now, in an atom also, nucleus is the center. Nucleus is made up of neutrons and then we have the protons. Ang katong no charge, that is neutron.
Okay.
Okay. So, why is it that electron is attracted to the nucleus?
Kuan siya, ma'am. Maybe, ma'am, ang nucleus is surrounded by protons. That's why nga ang electron is easily to attract by neutrons, ma'am.
Okay, attracted imo electrons to the nucleus because na-added to imuhang protons. Positive charge. So, positive and negative, they will attract. Okay. So, we have that one. So, nuclear charge is the attraction of the electrons towards the nucleus. Okay. So, we have that one. Now, meaning if we have higher nuclear charge, which has the symbol of Z, when Z is higher, okay, what will happen to the interaction? What will happen to the interaction of electrons and the nucleus when Z is higher? Taas pod. Therefore, ma-pull na niya. I-pull sa nucleus ang electrons. This one also, i-pull na siya ayo. Hence, ang imuhang, what will happen to the energies, sublevel energies, it will become lower. Sumugamay na doon siya because the attraction, kusog kayong attraction sa imong electrons o imong nucleus. So, birahon. So, maong mugamay ang imuhang sublevel energies. Okay. Now, also, we have the shielding. Shielding, of course, okay, reduces full nuclear charge. Okay. So, if we have this one, okay, when N, okay, into the 4th energy level, versus n is equal to 1, which is affected by shielding. N is equal to 1 or n is equal to 4? Shielding. Kanang mag-shield noon, di ka maigo, di ka mabira. Sa electron, narang neutrons, mo ni mamira. N is equal to 1 or n is equal to 4, kinsa affected sa shielding?
N is equal to 1, ma'am.
Affect,
Murag ang 1, ma'am.
affected sa shielding. Unsay shielding? Di ay, shield, tabunan ka. Kinsay matabunan? N is equal to 1 or n is equal to 4?
N is equal to 4,
N is equal
ma'am.
to 4.
Okay, so n is equal to 4 is more affected by shielding. Oh, shield. Napay shield, napay shield. So ang electrons here in n is equal to 4, di siya madali og pull sa nucleus towards the nucleus because it is shielded. Nice shield. Remember, enough energy must be emitted, ipagawas, so that the electrons from higher level will go down. So dapat na siya enough energy. Then here na pod, enough energy na pod, and then we have enough energy, so taas kayo. Whereas here, n is equal to 1, which is very near to the nucleus, so it is kanang wala kay siya wala siya na apektahan sa imuhang shielding. Now, shielding. Okay, who has higher nuclear charge? N is equal to 1 or n is equal to 4?
N equals to 1, ma'am.
Okay, n is equal to 1 has higher nuclear charge. Greater ang iyahang attraction sa nucleus and then sa electrons. Whereas there is a 4 na layo kay, no? Layo kay lahang connection. Okay. Now, orbital shape also affects sublevel energy. All right, so we have this one. Now, we have Z is equal to 2 and Z is equal to 1. So, nuclear charge is equal to 1 and nuclear charge is equal to 2. So, which has higher nuclear charge?
D is equal to 2, ma'am.
Oh, there is a He or helium ion. Sa helium ion, then, okay, hydrogen has lower nuclear charge. Lower nuclear charge. Now, because we have this electron, now if we want to remove this electron, kinsa ang mas dali na to remove, kani or kani?
Z equals
Z
to
is
1.
equal to 1,
Z is equal to
1, ma'am.
Z equal to 1, ma'am.
1 because gamay ra man iyang attraction, di ba? Gamay ra iyang pugong. Gamay ra pugong sa nucleus ug sa imong electrons, gamay ra ilahang connection. So pwede dali ra siyang i-pull, dali ra siyang i-remove when we have another atom here and wants to attract the electron from in this atom. So mas dali siya makuwala because the nuclear charge is lower. Whereas here, it has higher nuclear charge, so mas difficult siya i-remove. Okay. However, we have lithium. Lithium ion. Lithium ion has a nuclear charge of 3. So, ano siya? Easy to remove or hard to remove?
Hard to remove, ma'am.
Okay, so if I ask you arrange the elements, okay, arrange the elements and the ions, the atoms and ions according to in ascending order according to nuclear charge or easy to remove, hard to remove. Kinsa pinaka hard i-remove? We have ascending, ha.
Ion, ma'am.
Okay, so unsay una mag-arrange ta? Pinakauna. H. Then we have helium ion. Then we have lithium ion. Okay, so it's hardest to remove. Electrons is the same energy level, shield each other to some extent. Electrons in the inner energy level shield the outer electrons very effectively. In inner energy level, mm, okay, so we have electrons in the same energy level. Kung same lang sila, if we have and level 4, so we have electrons here, electrons. So the same are pod ilahang shielding power. Okay, shielding energy. Whereas if we have an inner energy level, so if we have 3, okay, it shields the outer electrons very effectively. So i-shield this one. So i-shield na noon niya ang kaning mga electrons. Ilang tabunan. Kaning mga electrons here, tabunan sa inner electrons very effectively. The farther from the nucleus, an electron, kung layo kayo, we have this one, we have one, two. Kung pinakalayo kayong electron, the lower the nuclear charge for the particular electron. So gamay kay muhang nuclear charge here compare to this electron. No? Okay? Because again, nuclear charge is the attraction of your electron towards the nucleus. Now, look at the distance here. So, layo kayo. So, meaning, gamay kayo ang iyahang electron, iyahang nuclear charge. Whereas, if we have this electron, then we have the nucleus here. Okay. So, taas jud kayong attraction. Taas kayong attraction. Kusog kaayo. Alright. So, mag-relasyon ba? Kung layo kayo mo, dili kayo mo attracted. Okay. Kinsa mga LDR.
Naon ma'am, literally ma'am.
Alright. So, we have that one. Electrons. Okay, kaman basa dira. Maura gyapon na siya. Okay. So, between this electron, and this electron, which has higher nuclear charge. Electron 1, electron 2.
Electron 1 ma'am.
Higher nuclear charge, which is hard to remove. Electron
Nuclear
1,
2 ma'am.
hard to remove.
Nuclear 2 ma'am.
Nuclear, electron 1, electron 2.
Onto dahil ma'am. Electron 2 ma'am.
Hard to remove. Di ba hard to remove noon? Oh yes. Hard, dili. Ang hard to, kung taas imong nuclear charge, meaning taas kayong kapit no, taas kayong energy, dako kay ang gugma class, dako kay ang gugma sa electron o sa nucleus, dako kay gugma, lisod kay na ipalayo ng isa ka electron dira. Kay dako kayo. So we have, ang katong layo kayo, katong less lang ilahang attraction mo to easy i-remove. Okay. If we have, nawa na good. Hello. Na na na. Hello?
Hello, ma'am.
Naghang
Hello,
pa.
ma'am.
Wait, sa hahapit na. Nibalik na ngali. Okay. So, electron 1, electron 2 ang dali was kagon, dali kwaon.
Electron 2, ma'am.
2, dali. Okay.
Wag electron to, ma'am.
Electron 2. O, i-relate ra ninyo na. I-relate ra ninyo sa guma. Hala, what na? Oh, na pa. Good. Okay, so kinsa ang lisod i-remove?
Electron 2, ma'am.
Lisod.
Electron 1.
Electron
Electron
1.
1.
Okay. Ngayon we are talking about remove man ma'am o add. Because electrons must be removed or must be added for to produce chemical reaction. So enigma kaya ang atoms need to react with each other to become stable. So that's why mura ba og ganing tawo mangita gihapon siyang partner to become stable. So kani electron the atoms also find partners to become stable by removing electrons also. So we'll talk about remove. Also we have this one, penetration and sublevel energy. Okay. So, who is more penetrated, 1s or 2s?
To S, ma'am.
2s? Remember, di ba, unsa gali ning 1 ani? O kaning 2, if we have 1, and then we have s, ang 1, mao ni siya ang imong shell, energy level, or shell. First shell. Then we have ds orbital, or we have the S subshell. Okay. So we have that one or sub-level energy. Ano ha? Ang S, mao na siya imuha. Ang 1, N is equal to 1, mao imong energy level or shell. Then we have the P, the S, they are subshells or sub-level. Pariharan sila. Then, okay. So,
1S.
okay, who is more penetrated? Kinsa pinakaduol?
1S, ma'am.
1s.
1S.
Kinsay pinakaduol? 3s or
1S, ma'am.
2p?
1S.
Who is more
2P,
penetrated?
ma'am.
2p or 3s? Okay, very good. 3s or 3d?
3S.
3s, okay. So, ano ha?
3S, ma'am.
Alright. The 2s sub-level, okay, if in this case, the 2s sub-level is more stable than the 2p because it penetrates closer to the nucleus, which means that Z is higher and that penetration, so Z is directly proportional to penetration. So if taas imong Z, imong penetration pod taas. If gamay imong Z, gamay imong penetration. Sakto, we have that one. Penetration, P, increases nuclear attraction, directly proportional to Z, and decreases shielding, inversely proportional to shielding. Okay. We have that one. So, if taas imong nuclear attraction, shielding is gamay. or penetration, taas imong penetration, imong shielding is shielding, taas imong gamay gihapon. Okay, what can you have you observe here? What can you observe here? If we have 1s sublevel, we have attraction is equal to 18.49. If we have 3p, it is 7.73. 2p, it's 15. So what have you observed? Magkataas ang sublevel.
As sa sub-level, ma'am.
Okay. Magka-decrease imuhang nuclear charge. Okay, splitting of levels into sublevels. Okay. Energy level is split into sublevels of differing energy. Splitting is caused by penetration and its effect on shielding. Okay, so we have that. So, unsa gali ito maka-affect sa imong orbitals? We have nuclear charge, shielding, and then we have also the third, which is penetration. So, they are the factors that affect orbitals. Okay, we have for given n value. So we have order of sublevel energies. We have S, P, D, and F. Okay, so who is the highest and highest sublevel? F.
F, ma'am.
All right.
F.
Unsa pi highest? Highest. F. Okay, so we
F.
have F. Tarang F, oh, layo na kayong F.
F. F.
Diri na gasugod sa 4F na. Wala pa diri. Okay, so we have here an order of filling energy sublevels with electrons. Energy so increases as n increases. Okay. So first shell, second shell, third shell. Apil pa yung 3D here. Third shell. Fourth shell. Fourth shell. Okay. How many shells here in this diagram? How many shells? 4.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
1 hour.
Ay, alright. Thank you. Sige ha. Sige, panganda mo to how many shells?